Oh, Corona. Hey, what's going on? Hey, what's going on? It's Matt. Welcome back to the channel. Today, I thought I might give my opinion and some advice for anybody who's thinking about going out fishing or hiking during this time in our country with the coronavirus. And I've actually been talking to a lot of people about this recently, and I'm sure we all have, and we all have our opinions on this. And this really is kind of spawned from a video I watched last night from one of the guys that I follow and a local kayak angler, Moo Outdoors. He posted something, I'll put a link down below, but it was talking about kayak fishing during this time of COVID-19, and he made some really great valid points. And I don't think he's trying to stop anybody or lecture anybody. He did a very good job of conveying what his opinions were, and I'm kind of going to give mine right now as well and kind of piggyback a little bit off of what he said. So, you know, I have not been fishing like crazy. I am no longer technically working. I still have a job, but the way that my industry works, it's kind of like, it's pointless. We're kind of beating a dead horse, so to speak. And, you know, part of me right now is that I really want to start going out fishing and hiking more because I have this free time on my hands, but I also have this kind of social responsibility and this part of me saying, you probably shouldn't put yourself in that situation. And I'm not talking about dangerous situations. I'm talking about driving to go for a hike or driving to a launch and something going wrong. I mentioned this in the live stream, and if you didn't see it, that's totally fine, but things are still happening right now, meaning that people are still getting in car accidents, still having heart attacks, they're still kind of like, you know, having strokes, and life still goes on even in the midst of all this stuff is going on, and bad shit still happens. And where I'm going with this is that part of me feels kind of guilty for getting into a car and putting myself at risk to get into an accident, or for someone to rear end me, or for me to slip and fall. Just all these things start going through my head, and so I've really kind of rationalized it out. If you've been following this channel, you know that during this whole shelter in place, I have gone fishing and I have gone hiking. But the severity of the situation in my eyes, this is just my opinion, has gotten so much worse in the last couple of weeks, last couple of days, I should say. When you wake up and you kind of look at the amount of people that passed away from this, you know, just over one night was 1,700 people in the United States. And granted, where I live in Northern California, there's not going to be a spike for any time soon. And candidly, I don't think there will be a spike. But I don't want to exhaust resources if I don't have to. But part of me is still that little kid who says, don't touch the hot stove. And they go and touch it anyways, and they have to learn the hard way. So, and I don't think that anything bad would happen if I went out and went fishing or hiking right now. God forbid. You know, I've done it 100 times, but it just takes that one time, right? It takes that one time for something to go wrong. So where am I going with all this? Well, you know, Moo yesterday on his video was talking about, you know, you're not going to see a lot of kayak fishing from me right now because of these reasons. I want to be socially responsible. Well, in the same breath, you're not seeing anything from any of your favorite YouTubers, and I'm sure I'm not one of them, but my point is that life has kind of come to a standstill, and for those of us who enjoy speaking to the camera, putting our life on camera, or doing our fishing expeditions or anything else on camera, it's going to get really weird. You're going to get a lot of talking head videos, in my opinion. Out West with Chris did a great video on 5 things that he really likes to have when he goes kayak fishing. Check that one out. I'll put a link for that down below as well. But I am rambling right now, like I do in most 2 cents, but here's where I'm going with all this. I think as a content creator, a mediocre one at that, we all want to entertain you in some possible way. And, you know, most people that I know, we create content not for you guys, but we create it for ourselves because we enjoy the process of creating something and putting it up there and editing it. There's a creative process that's kind of released, but part of that creative process is the actual activities that we do. That's why we're not vloggers. We're kayak fishermen, we're hikers, we're hunters, whatever it may be. So when you can't do those things, it becomes very, very difficult. And because we are these things, we get an itch inside, right? It's one of these things where you're like, God, I really need to go do this, because it's not necessarily for, you know, just pure pleasure, but a lot of it for me personally is mental health. I go through a lot in my head on a day-to-day basis, and getting out on the water or going hiking is a way that I release that and turn that little internal noise off in my brain. And it gives me the ability just to kind of think about nothing else except the moment that I'm in. I don't worry about bills. I don't worry about, you know, work. I don't worry about, you know, if my daughter's doing okay in school, whatever it may be. So regarding fishing and regarding hiking and going during this time, I am going to go fishing soon, probably tomorrow actually, and it's kind of weighing on me, and I really didn't think it would weigh on me, but it is. And I'm going to go hiking probably not this weekend. I'm probably going to end up going, you know, at the end of this particular week, and that's been weighing on my mind because those are distance drives for me, and I have a very reliable car, thankfully. And you know, I'm very cautious as it is before this whole thing went out, but I kind of want to give some sort of, you know, idea of what I do when I leave, and what I have been doing when I leave and I venture outside of my direct town in Northern California, specifically during this crisis, I would call it, in America. So, you know, one of the things that I think is important to do is that you don't want to kind of put strain on smaller communities, because I'm leaving probably from a medium-sized to small-sized city, and I'm traveling to areas that are small local areas that have very limited resources. And so the last thing that I ever want to do is put a strain on that community. And that means anywhere from, maybe I'm infected right now. Who knows? You know, like, I don't want to have to interact with anybody in those towns because God forbid I give it to somebody else. So here's what I do. I gas up in my local town before I leave. I make sure I have enough food completely and totally for the day and then some in case something goes wrong. And then when I drive through those towns, I don't get out. To me, that's the safest possible way to do it. Now, if I pull up to a launch, or if I pull up to, let's just say, you know, a trail and the parking lot is full or it looks crowded, I have turned around, and I will continue to turn around, because this is all about social distancing, and social distancing for me is very easy to do when the rest of the country is not being told to social distance. So because everybody's on this social distancing thing and we have to stay with shelter in place, everybody's trying to get out of the house as much as possible. So what do you see on the trails? You see families, you see people that look like they can't even walk up and down a flight of steps doing 10-mile hikes or trying to do 10-mile hikes. You see guys out on bass boats with like 5 or 6 guys on one boat. And you know, right now people are trying to get some sort of release, because mentally to sit in the house all day and to watch TV or to read, you know, read online, anything, you can't escape like what's going on with this virus. It's kind of nerve-wracking, and you kind of need that just outdoor escape. So that's step one really for when I go out into, you know, a different area of town. And a lot of people will tell you, yeah, like that's much safer than, you know, going to the grocery store these days. It's not about being safe for you, it's about being safe for the surrounding community. So candidly, it's not safer for the surrounding communities for me to go there when I'm coming from a larger community that has a higher propensity or higher risk rate than their smaller towns. So it's super important that you realize, and that I realize more importantly, that when I go on these adventures and when I do leave and when I do post a video, that I take every precaution necessary, and I also have a contingency plan in case something goes wrong. I know that if I go hiking this weekend or on Friday and I'm out there in the middle of anywhere and I sprain my ankle, I better be prepared to take care of myself to the best of my ability before I call for help. Now, if I get, I don't know, like if I break a leg or something like that, yeah, I'm gonna have to get myself out of there. I really am. And it sounds kind of like, I don't know, I'm not trying to be macho or anything like that, but you know, last night I think Moo said something to the effect of, you know, you never know if you're out fishing and you get a treble hook, you know, jammed in your leg. And if that happens, you best believe I'm not going to the hospital. You best believe that I'm taking a pair of pliers and I'm ripping that out myself. No matter how deep it is, you can get it out. There's been a lot of situations in my life when I've been outdoors, when I've been faced with certain situations that, you know, just you look insurmountable, and you have to kind of sack up and pull yourself together and say, look, you know, there's no one else that's going to help me right now because they're too far away, or I'm not in cell phone service, or whatever it may be. You have to be self-reliant. I think that's also the scary thing too, with the amount of people that are going out on the trails these days. When it comes to hiking in Northern California, there's some situations that any trail will put a novice walker or hiker into a bad situation. They might not be able to get themselves out of it. That's really kind of where the dangers kind of, you know, really arise. And so as an advanced, I wouldn't say advanced, yeah, I'd say an advanced hiker. I'm an advanced hiker, and an experienced, well-experienced enough kayak fisherman and outdoorsman that I know the risks that I'm putting myself into. So why am I making this whole video right now? I don't know. I think it's a little cathartic for me to kind of get it off my chest to say, hey, you know what? I know what the risks are. But two, also, I did have someone email me from one of my hiking videos saying, you know, don't you think you're being irresponsible for going out? And my answer to them was no, and I can cover my own butt. Now, that's kind of like an arrogant way of saying shut up and mind your own business, but at the end of the day, I can't, because I'm accepting the risk to go. The most dangerous thing you'll do on a daily basis is drive a car. We all know this. You know, more people die in a car accident than anything else. So you just getting in the car to go to the grocery store is equally as dangerous. But it's usually just dangerous for you and the other individual involved, and there's not a massive spread that kind of goes on about it. So to that person that said something to me, I've already had a conversation with them. I didn't try to make them see it my way, but I made them understand that I understand the risks, and I do appreciate the risks that other people would take to come get me. However, barring some catastrophic thing that's never happened to me in my 45 years now of hiking and fishing and kayaking and boating and being just generally outdoors, nothing catastrophic has ever happened. I'm not that big of a pessimist to think that it's just going to happen now because we have a pandemic going on in the country. Final note, I'm saying all this again simply for the fact that, like, when I post videos, if you choose not to watch them, or if you choose not to look at the photos that I post, or if you're going to lecture me about something, please just think and know that I have thought this through. There are no guarantees in life. I agree with that. And that being said, if I got sick tomorrow, I would reminisce and I would miss all the opportunities that I possibly could have taken to gone out and lived a little fuller life. And know also too that I am doing this specifically because of my mental health. You know, not like, you know, crazy or bouncing off the walls in here or anything like that, but like psychologically, and I'm sure everybody who's watching this right now can agree with me, this is a hard time to be forced to be stuck inside. So if you are going to go out and out and about and leave your town, do yourself a favor, you know, wear gloves, wear the mask, be prepared, get all your gas. Don't drive too far away, like to where you have to fill up somewhere else. Like, I'm not going to go to, you know, Chico or Redding or anything like that where I can't make there on a tank of gas. Go places that you know as well. Don't try to go someplace brand new, although I should probably take my own advice, or scope it out and know your resources that are around. Look, this is kind of like a my 2 cents, but it's more of just an opinion on the subject. I hope everybody is out there, is safe right now, and I don't know, kind of staying sane. Thanks for watching these things. Have a great day.